All right, everyone. Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter. We're hitting you on a Tuesday instead of Monday. We just wanted to change things up on you guys, to be honest. We were becoming too predictable. Just kidding. But let's go ahead and hop in because Kevin and I are both on a bit of a time crunch today. So I'll go over my part, my welcome message, and then we'll dive in. And we are going to hit on a $1.9 million a year business. Nasty business. Excuse me. Sorry. Nasty business, dirty business, boring business, whatever you want to call it. This business makes 1.9 million. So we're going to cover that business. We're going to cover a resale franchise as well as a couple other things. Real quick to hit you with the message of the week. I want to help you do something that a lot of mistakes that people make. And by the way, let me know if you're when you're watching this, comment if you're watching the replay. Would love to know if you're seeing the replay. But one thing that will help you increase your likelihood of success in business is just simply removing your emotions from the equation, right? And so I'm not going to go through all that stuff for the sake of time, but there are businesses that have a track record of being successful. Like that's the whole concept and point of franchising. And a mistake I see people making is they get so damn excited about a business that they got no sense being excited about because it sucks. And I'm just kidding. Maybe it doesn't suck. Actually, no, it does suck. But there are a lot of franchises that suck, that aren't actually making money, that don't have a good track record of success, or that have low profit margins. And I see people just getting so excited about them because they experienced it as a customer. They fell in love with the brand. And it's like they have one location and that one location doesn't do that great, but you're obsessed about only opening this location. It makes zero sense. So use logic, take the emotions out of the equation, and put yourself in the right opportunity to succeed. With that said, hello, Mr. Kevin.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Is that a pet peeve of yours too?
Oh yeah, you know that. I complain about it all the time, but no, I mean, people get excited, and I always say I like the excitement, but let's you know make sure we're looking at the data and making a logical decision. So yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with that message for sure.
It's so much more politically correct than me and saying
Well, I mean, we were talking about this the other day. My dumb ass, before we got into franchising, invested in a bunch of different. My wife and I started multiple different businesses that were far-fetched ideas, and yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call them all failures, but I would say we definitely learned a lot. And knowing what we know now, we could have gone back. We would have done something totally different, for sure. But it happens. I'm just like, I can speak from experience, and I try to just tell people, like, please don't make the same mistake that we have before, because a lot of people have done the same thing. So
that's a great point. Yeah, it's like, hey, like if you want to go down the road of making mistakes and costing yourself money, you can. It is a part of the learning, but preferably you don't. So, all right, as you guys are watching this, if you want to get this newsletter in your inbox every Sunday morning and not have to wait till Monday, or in this case, Tuesday, to get it, you can go to franchiseempire.com/newsletter to get it. So today we're going to talk about a resale, franchise of the week, client case study, and the Franchise Empire show. So, did we already talk about this one?
we talked about a competitor, but
Oh,
not
okay.
this particular one. Yeah.
All right. I just got confused. All right. Break this break this resale down for us.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of senior care franchises out there. I would say this one has been around for a long time. They have close to 500 units. So right at home, they're actually based out of Omaha, where I live,
So they're
and
right at home.
they're right at home. You're full of the dad jokes lately, but yeah. So it's a really good business model. This is not a dumb business like we talked about earlier. This is this is a sound business that provides a really meaningful service. You're helping elderly people stay in their homes as long as they possibly can. And it's both in-home medical and non-medical care. So this particular resale is in Northern California. I'm pretty sure it's in the Sacramento area, but they didn't give specific details. But it was started in 2014, so it's been around for 10 years now. It's three territories included in this particular resale, so it's a pretty big, territory of seniors that you could potentially serve. They do have a pretty well established presence in the community, multiple referral sources from, I'm assuming medical practices and other referral sources like that in the community. What's interesting is they have 100% private pay customers, so they're not dealing with insurance carriers. I thought that was really interesting. I'm almost positive Right at Home does have systems in place to deal with insurance carriers, but if I were looking at this opportunity, I'd want to know, is that an opportunity to grow that side of the business, or should you focus on, is that kind of the bread and butter is the private pay? So, um, yeah, this one, senior care isn't for everybody. You really have to have like a compassion to make sure you're providing, really good customer service and caring for the elderly population. You have a large staff, so a lot of part-time and full-time workers on your staff. So, I'd say those two things are big. You need to be able to manage a team and build a good culture and keep people around and make sure that they're providing good customer service, because it is a service that's very meaningful, and you want to be treating your customers well. So, but yeah, this one has a pretty good client base established. When you look at the system overall, based on their 2023 FDD, the average net billings for 350 of the franchise locations was 1.44 million in 2022. So really good numbers, especially for that many different locations disclosed. So, pretty scalable opportunity here if you're interested in the senior care space. Yeah, have you heard of this one before, Tarek, or just the competitors that we've talked about?
It's sometimes it gets hard to remember all the different ones that I have heard of. I'm not incredibly familiar with this one, but I again, these are the opportunities I look at and I go like this is why so many people want to get into franchising to be able to they got they have four what was it? I mean 497 franchise units.
Mhm.
Um the FTD is based off of 300 office locations, which I would assume that means one office location probably services multiple actual units and territories. But I mean, that's an impressive track record. As you mentioned before, senior care is definitely one where it's like not that you have a passion for senior care, but you just got to really care about people. Like I just know personally, not that I don't care about people, but this would not be a business that I would get
Yeah,
in. I'm too
me
task
either.
oriented. Um, so
Yeah, me either. I mean, you have to have a lot of patience, and you're probably going to deal with some customer service issues that are challenging. But for the right personality, it can be really rewarding. I mean, and it is making a huge difference for these families. So I love that part of it, but it is definitely not something that I would ever do. If I if I did for some reason get talked into doing something like this, I would do a resale that has an existing employee base like this one, and existing customers, because I have heard it can be a grind that first year or so getting going. So it could be an opportunity that would be good to step into a resale if you were interested in this.
yeah, I had a guy on the podcast who owns a assisted living franchise, and he's like the perfect fit. He loved the business. He's a people person. He loves connecting and talking to people, and it was the perfect business for him. And so, well, for those of you who want to learn more about this, you go to franchiseempire.com/resales, and you can either inquire about this specific resale, or you can inquire and Kevin and the team can check what specific resales are available in your area. And Kevin, in one of our team meetings earlier, kind of the thing got brought up around, well, do you guys have access to Reset? Like, can I just look up what you guys have access to, or do you guys have access to different stuff? So you want to hit on that for just a minute?
Yeah, I mean, there are some online websites where Biz by Sell and those type of platforms where you can go and look at resales, but we actually have access to, for lack of better words, like internal databases that have listings that aren't on those type of websites. And working as a broker, I have access to a number of different databases that an individual just trying to do a search on their own would not. The other thing is we have good relationships with a lot of franchisors and networks, like umbrella brands of franchisors. So one of the things I do is I'll reach out and say, hey, do you have any owners approaching retirement? Do you have any owners that are about to sell and it's not on the market yet? I've done those, type of placements many times where we have gotten it early on before it's listed, which is awesome, because you can kind of be the first to interact with the franchisor and then the actual seller. So there's different things that we can do, just that an individual just doing it on their own wouldn't have access to.
Yeah, it's such a great point. I've seen it happen, and when I was in the franchise broker world myself, it did. There was, especially as you develop relationships with franchisors, then they'll start proactively reaching out. Hey, we got this coming on. So yes, there is a benefit and an advantage to, checking in with us and probably be able to take a look at stuff that may not be publicly listed. A quick client case study. And this was a great example of someone who just took emotion out of the equation overall. And Kevin, you worked with Devin, but um, when he was initially coming to the program, he had a call with Zach, and it was a whole funny thing actually because he was like, "Is this a scam?" Um, but he had looked at everything, ATMs, Amazon FBA, like all sorts of different stuff. He had almost bought a very poorly performing resale food franchise. I don't know. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And thankfully he didn't. And he wind up joining the zero to profitable franchise system. You want to give the kind of the quick and skinny on how you guys working together and kind of what he bought and what that process was like.
Yeah, yeah, Devin was awesome to work with. He was super skeptical when we first were introduced to him, but which is understandable. Like I totally get it. You should be skeptical. It's like a different investment that you're typically used to making. So I totally get that. But we quickly kind of formed a good relationship, and he started listening to at least entertaining ideas outside of food and beverage. And so as we went through the process, we kind of narrowed in on a few. And looking at the FDDs together and comparing, he quickly realized, okay, like home services is the path I should go down for a number of reasons. But he ended up validating with three different brands. He landed on a company called Five Star Bath, which is a bathroom remodeling franchise. Perfect fit for him. Devin was like open and honest about, like, I'm not good at marketing. Like, that's not my forte. I'm really nervous about getting leads. And this company is exceptional at that. And so they do a lot of hands-on marketing for their owners. They have a really good like call center that will schedule appointments very quickly. So they help their owners really focus on the operations of the business, which is huge for a guy like Devin. So it sounds like he's booked out 2 months now, which is awesome to hear. It's not surprising based on feedback I've heard about that franchise, but super happy for him. He's a great guy, and yeah, I'm glad he landed on that one and not the food resale for sure.
So happy. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he made the decision to work with us and that you were able to help him and that he did not go the route of food, because that it's the difference. It's like the fork in a road, the difference between being that person that comments on one of my YouTube videos about how terrible franchising is because they had a bad experience, or aligning with a brand that's been proven, that's in alignment, and like it's not a sexy business. I mean, I guess bathroom remodeling can appear attractive, but Devin was a plumber, right? So like it aligned too. And it was like, I'm sure, that probably wasn't his first choice to go in the bathroom remodeling business, but what makes sense. And now there's nothing else that can make you more happy in business when you're making money, churning along, doing well, like able to support yourself. Like that is the best feeling in the world. And it's much easier to get excited about your business when you're doing well, making money, than you have a business that you're excited about that's not doing well, and it just becomes a burden.
Yeah. I'll add one more thing. Like I mean, for a number of reasons, food wasn't the right path for him, but like he really wanted something that was going to cash flow quickly. And that opportunity was perfect for him. And that was one of the main reasons. And he had experience in that field. But like there are certain people that food is the right path, and there are some good food franchises, but it has to be the right situation for you, especially from a financial standpoint. Because like I think Tarek, your big thing and mine as well is like we don't want people to get into that and realize 6 months in when they're still not launched that they're not going to be making money for a solid 6 months to a year. Like that's the reality of those type of businesses, and most people can't do that.
They're not
But
gonna
if
be
you
open for 6 months to a year, yet alone making
right,
money.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So I think that's the big distinction that people don't necessarily understand until we start working together and we go through a detailed financial analysis with them and kind of say, here's where you need to be. And so, anyways, I wanted to add that on there.
Heck yeah. All right, franchise of the week, Mr. Rooter Plumbing.
All right, Mr. Rooter is a legit franchise, so it's a neighborly brand. They do residential and commercial plumbing services. Been around since 1970, their original location, and they started franchising in '93. So they now have 209 franchise units throughout the country, but they do, they don't necessarily want you to have a plumbing background to run this business, right? They want
Mm,
business owners that can manage a team and run, the high level operations, manage KPIs, hire and train people, build a team and culture. So Mr. Rooter is a very scalable business, and it's a need, not a want, right?
mm.
Like when you have plumbing issues, you have to get it fixed. There's no like there's you just can't sit on a plumbing issue. Like it's going to continue to get worse and worse. So there's a lot of different use cases for plumbing companies. And Mr. Rooter has a pretty good training in place. They have a software system that you use to manage the business from front to end. You equip your plumbers with an iPad and software that they can give quotes and collect payment right there on the spot from customers. So it's a quick cash flow type of business. And when you look at the investment compared to the Atom 19, if you look at the total investments between 83,000 and 225, which is pretty dang reasonable. But then if you scroll down and look at the potential, return, if you look at the Atom 19, um, they're averaging 1.99 million in gross sales from their disclosed performers. And you look at the top 50% of performers are averaging 3.29 million. Just kind of crazy. Like that is phenomenal business if you're average to above average. So yeah, I like plumbing businesses, electrical, HVAC, things like that. If you're comfortable managing more of those skilled labor.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, um, this sort of business is not for everyone, but someone who's just like, if you're willing to be in this sort of business and like willing to be like involved with it overall, um, I mean, what was it? A few months ago, our hot water heater started leaking. We could have repaired it for like $400 or replaced it for like 2,200 or 2,300. It was already 9 years old. I was like, let's just replace it. But it was like I didn't want to spend $2,300 that day. It wasn't a planned expense. It wasn't like like either way, I was spending some money that day. It was either 400 or 2,300, And the reason why I spent the 2,300 was because it was like, it's not, why am I going to repair something that's 9 years old that has an expected shelf life of 10, 12 years? It just doesn't make sense. So that's really, I think, the big benefit in that sort of business.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, and it's, you know, it can be intimidating, like thinking about hiring and managing people at a little bit higher salary than other trades. But if you're comfortable with that, it can be a phenomenal business. And then being a neighborly brand, you're going to have other neighborly owners of, like, you know, an HVAC company or painting or whatever. You can network with them, get their customer bases, refer customers back and forth in your territory. So really good opportunity. We just actually helped a guy in Vegas buy, Mr. Rooter.
Nice. Nice. All right. Kevin, what should they do here if they want to check it out?
Yeah, if you're curious about that or anything in that space, and you're curious to hear like what's available in your market, just click on that link, submit your information. We can set up a call and chat about what that would look like, and what may be available in your market.
Boom. All right. Last but not least, how you can make passive income owning franchises. And you know, it's all about the titles, all about the titles. But basically, this was a solo episode I did breaking down the myths around making passive income with a franchise, how you won't make passive income, as well as how you could make passive income. And I speak about my experience in operating in a location 2,500 miles away for multiple years, and one that was 250 miles away. So I definitely have some experience in this area. And so you should go check that out. You can go to the Franchise Empire Show YouTube channel. It's on there, or on any um, podcast platform that you listen on. So with that said, anything else, Mr. Kevin?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, have a great week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.